Right now, the biggest names in tech are in an all-out race to build the future of artificial intelligence. And they're placing bets so huge they could literally reshape the entire global economy. But in the middle of all this hype, one industry giant is hitting the brakes and asking a very simple, and honestly, kind of terrifying question. Has anyone actually done the math on this?
Okay, let's just start with the number. The number at the absolute center of this entire debate is $8 trillion. That's the estimated cost for all the computing power needed to chase the dream of artificial general intelligence, or AGI. It's a number so big, it almost doesn't feel real.
And here's the real kicker. It's not even about paying back the $8 trillion. It's about the mind-boggling amount of profit you'd have to make every single year just to cover the interest on that investment. And that is the huge financial paradox at the heart of this AI gold rush.
So how in the world did we get to a number that big? Well, to understand that, you first have to look at the absolute frenzy of spending that is happening as we speak.
The tech giants are locked in an all-out arms race to build the physical world that AI lives in. We're talking about these colossal data centers, packed with tens of thousands of specialized chips, and they are consuming jaw-dropping amounts of energy. The ambition here is just off the charts. You've got leaders like Sam Altman practically begging for a national-level increase in power generation just to keep this train moving.
But right in the middle of this gold rush, one very important voice is saying, "Whoa, hold on a second." That voice, it belongs to IBM CEO Arvind Krishna, and he's here to bring a big dose of financial reality to all the hype.
So let's get into Krishna's core argument. And you know what? It all boils down to some surprisingly simple napkin math.
He breaks it all down into a few logical steps that honestly anyone can follow. It starts with the cost of just one really powerful data center, and then it scales all the way up to see what this global ambition is really going to cost us.
Okay, now look at how these numbers stack up. Krishna estimates that with today's costs, it takes about $80 billion to build out a 1 gigawatt data center. Then you look at what all the big companies are publicly saying they're going to build, and it adds up to around 100 gigawatts globally. So you multiply 100 times 80 billion, and boom, there's your $8 trillion capital expenditure. And oh, by the way, those incredibly expensive chips, they need to be replaced every 5 years.
And this right here is the punchline. To just service the debt on an $8 trillion investment, I'm not talking about paying it back, just covering the interest, you would need to generate $800 billion in pure profit every single year. To put that into perspective for you, that is more than the combined annual profits of Apple, Microsoft, and Google. Just insane.
So Krishna's conclusion is, well, it's pretty blunt. He says that based on the technology and the costs we have right now, there is simply no way the math works. The return on investment for this specific path just isn't there.
And here's the thing. It turns out he's not some lone voice in the wilderness. There's actually a growing chorus of leaders in Silicon Valley who are starting to question if this massive spending spree is even pointed in the right direction.
Now, before we go any further, let's just make sure we're all on the same page about the prize everyone is chasing here. AGI. It's not just a slightly smarter ChatGPT. It's the theoretical holy grail of AI, a machine that can reason, learn, and create on par with or even beyond a human. It's a massive breakthrough that, let's be clear, we have not achieved yet.
And this really gets to the heart of the disagreement, right? On one side, you've got Sam Altman from OpenAI, who says he has a belief that this massive investment will eventually pay off. And on the other side, you have Krishna, who basically says, that's a nice belief to have, but it's not the same thing as a sound financial model.
And like I said, Krishna's skepticism is starting to get some company. We're actually seeing this sort of doubters club start to form among some of the biggest and most respected names in the tech industry.
And just listen to who's in this club. We're not talking about small-time players. You've got Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff calling the whole AGI push extremely suspect. AI pioneer Andrew Ng says it's flat-out overhyped. And the CEO of the hot new startup Mistral, Arthur Mensch, just dismisses AGI as a marketing move. These are serious people with serious doubts.
Okay, but this next part is super important to understand. Krishna is not an AI doomer who thinks it's all a waste of time. He's a pragmatist, and he makes a really sharp distinction between the dream of AGI and the reality of what AI can do for us today.
This chart here really spells out his thinking perfectly.
He is incredibly bullish, super optimistic about the AI we have right now. He thinks it's going to unlock trillions of dollars in productivity for businesses. But the chance that this same technology will get us all the way to AGI, he puts the odds at nearly zero.
So this is the big takeaway from his position. He's not saying AI is a bad investment, not at all. He's saying that investing in practical enterprise AI to make businesses more productive, that's a fantastic bet. But betting trillions of dollars that we can get to AGI just by scaling, which basically means building bigger, more power-hungry versions of what we already have, that is a completely different and way riskier proposition.
All right, so if just throwing more money at bigger and bigger computers isn't the answer, then what is? What does the real path forward actually look like?
This quote from Ilya Sutskever, who, remember, co-founded OpenAI of all places, is so telling. He's basically saying the era of getting these huge leaps forward just by making our models bigger is coming to an end. The future isn't just about more brute force, it's about new ideas.
And that lines up perfectly with what Krishna is saying. He argues that to really get to AGI, we're going to need fundamental, new breakthroughs, not just more of the same. He talks about ideas like fusing hard-coded knowledge about the world with the amazing pattern matching skills of today's models. In other words, we need to get smarter about how we build AI, not just bigger.
And that leaves us right back where we started, with this massive $8 trillion question. As we go hurtling into the future, is the winning strategy to just keep doubling down on this incredibly expensive bet using today's technology, or is it time to pump the brakes on the spending and refocus on the deep, fundamental research that will unlock the next true breakthrough? The answer to that is going to define the next decade of technology for all of us.